NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day NFL Show. Today, I'm going to give you my Week 7 predictions with scores, guys. We had a really good week, bounce back week in Week 6. 62, 30, and 1 overall for the season, 10 and 5 in Week 6. We started out 10 and 2. We were on freaking fire, guys, and then the Lions, Bills, and Commanders all lost in those primetime games. So we still did really good with our bets. 8 bets cashed out of 11 total bets, and we would have won the Commanders game if Jaden Daniels could just hand the freaking ball off. But we were still up huge. We're up 125% on the season. So if you're into sports betting, check out my memberships in the link down below. And guys, we have some breaking news. Breaking news on the J All Day channel. We just got sponsored by Underdog, guys. Underdog is the place for fantasy pick'ems. Higher and lower. It is a ton of fun. You could add multiples of different players in different sports. Over, under, you pick them, and the multiplier goes up and up and up. And because you're a part of the J All Day community, Underdog is giving us a great promo. $5 in bets gets you $100 in bonus bets, guys. Just use my promo code JALLDAY if you are a new customer. All right, let's get into these Week 7 predictions with scores. All right, NFL fans, let's kick off these Week 7 predictions with scores. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button, hit that hype button, and subscribe to the channel, guys. We just crossed 27K. You're the best. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. First off, we got the Thursday night football special AFC North Battle Royale. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Flacco looked okay. Considering he's, an upgrade with wide receiver, right? Coming over from the Browns with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right, guys? Listen, the spread's at 5.5. I like the Steelers to not only win, but cover the 5.5 points. I'm going Steelers 28-16. The Steelers looked really good last week, minus the penalties. They did have 10 penalties, but they were efficient enough to get a W last week. Trey Hendrickson's hurt. I don't know when Shamar Stewart's going to come back. Flacco is an upgrade, like I said before, but just not enough, right? They're going to have to hang up 30 to win these games, right? I think the Steelers are going to want to slow down the pace of this game for sure. But Aaron Rodgers has an opportunity to push the ball down the field a little bit against this Bengals defense that's not very good. But AFC North games that are, when Pittsburgh's on the road, it's a tough spot, right? These division games, especially when you're on the road, are always harder than the public thinks they're going to be, right? So this game might be a little bit closer than my score of 28-16, but I just don't know if Flacco is going to be able to maneuver around the pocket with this really good pass rush with Highsmith and TJ Watt. I want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary play a little bit better, considering they're going up against Higgins and Chase, right? It's a big test. Right, so maybe this game is a little bit closer. So you know what? I'm changing the score here. 28-20. Pittsburgh gets it done. I'll give the Bengals 4 extra points because I'm feeling generous today, guys. Pittsburgh Steelers get it done. 28-20 final score. Lock it in. Next up, we got a London game. Rams versus the Jaguars. Puka Nacua got hurt in that game, and the offense really struggled without him. Straight up. I think Matt Stafford didn't even throw for 190 yards last week. He really struggled without Puka Nacua. And considering that they got to fly across the pond, and then I think they have the bye week the following week, they might just keep Puka Nacua in the States and try to go battle the Jaguars in London without Puka Nacua. See if they can get the running game going. But the Jaguars defense has been pretty stingy so far this season, right? So who do I ultimately think wins this game, right? I don't think the Rams offense is nearly as good without Puka Nacua, man. He's just extremely talented, right? The Jaguars had a tough loss versus the Seahawks, 20-12. The Rams beat the Ravens, but offensively, I think it was like 3-3 going into halftime or something. They really struggled moving the ball against a terrible Ravens defense that's been riddled by injuries. That's a huge concern of mine. That's why I'm going to roll with the Jaguars 27-23. Right now, the Rams are -3 favorites. I don't know how they're favorites, especially without Puka Nacua. And if he does play, he's definitely not going to be 100% in this spot. I think the Jaguars defense, that is a lot better than the Ravens defense they saw last week, can kind of contain what Matt Stafford does, get after him a little bit, because we've seen if Matt Stafford's not throwing on time, right, and the pass rush can get after him, he's a little miscombobulated, right? So I want to see the Jaguars improve on third down, 4 for 16 last week versus the Seahawks, who were a little shorthanded in that spot, especially at home. I thought they would be able to, be a little more competitive in that game. But I'm going with Jacksonville in London. This game is across the pond, guys. Jaguars are technically the home team, but they're not really the home team because this game is across the pond. We're going to roll. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, get it done. 27-23. Next up, Saints Bears. The Bears pulled that game out of their ass. I have no words. Jaden Daniels really let me down. I mean, just hand the ball off. He's trying to hand the ball off. He's like push through. I mean, come on, man. All you got to do is hand the ball off, and you win the game. A couple more handoffs, that game's over. You just let the Bears hang around too long. DeAndre Swift had a really good game against the Commanders. That was an impressive performance considering the Bears haven't really ran the ball super effectively so far this year, man. The Saints did battle. Tough loss versus the Patriots in Week 6. So where do we go here? Do we go to New Orleans on the road or the Bears at home? It seems like the Bears may be turning a corner offensively. There were some really nice running lanes for DeAndre Swift in that game versus the Commanders, who had a really hard time slowing him down, right? And if Ben Johnson can open up this running game, that's just really, really going to open things up down the field. I don't think Ben Johnson particularly loves Caleb Williams too much. He's really inaccurate with the football. Didn't make a ton of really good decisions in that game. The Bears had no business winning that game. And the Commanders just let them hang around, made mistakes, and the Bears were opportunistic with those mistakes and got a big W there on the road in Washington. And the Commanders moved to 3-3. That was a really, really bad loss. Bad loss. Bears are 5.5-point favorites. So I'm going to go with the Bears 24-20, but they do not cover the spread. I'm taking the Saints and the points spread-wise. But as you guys know, I don't really bet spreads too often. Once in a while, I'll sprinkle some in. I should have spread bet the freaking Rams last week. I was thinking about doing it, and then I wussed out at the end, guys, there. But yeah, Bears 24-20, they win, but Saints cover the 5.5 points. Next up, Miami at Cleveland. This is a week, of really bad games. Like just bad teams. Oh, this is going to be ugly. I think the Browns defense is going to do enough in an ugly game. Browns are 2.5-point favorites. I think they win and they cover the 2.5 points. So I'm going to go with the Browns laying the 2.5. 16-13 is my final score. I think Miami's really going to struggle offensively. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball like they did last week. A-Chain went 16 for $128 and 2 tutties last week against the Chargers. The Browns defense, I think, is too good for that. And there's just so much conflict going on in the locker room with the Miami Dolphins and Tua and Mike McDaniels. The coach is just, I don't know. I think he lost the locker room, right? The Browns got to be a more efficient team running the ball. They struggled to run the ball last week, but I think they bounced back because the Dolphins can't stop the run for shit. Dylan Gabriel can't throw the ball 52 times. Like, come on. He got sacked 6 times versus Pittsburgh. They struggled to run the ball. That's another reason why I really, really like Pittsburgh in that spot versus the Bengals, because they're not going to be able to run the ball, become one-dimensional. Sacked 6 times, threw the ball 52 times. That's a losing recipe time and time again. So I'm going to roll with the Browns here. I think that defense can force some turnovers. Tua had 3 interceptions, 2 his fault, 1 not his fault, but they turned the ball over a lot. I think the Browns do just enough, and Dylan Gabriel finally gets a win. And if he struggles again, maybe we see Shedeur Sanders in the second half. in that spot, right? Next up on the Sunday slate, we got the Raiders and the Chiefs. The Chiefs, much to my chagrin, look like a championship football team last week versus the Lions. They played really good defense against a high-powered offense, efficient on offense. I mean, and they're getting Rashee Rice back. Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Pacheco, Kelsey, Mahomes. As much as I don't want to say this, maybe the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC moving forward. The Raiders, 11.5-point dogs. I'm going with the Chiefs 34-20. I think they dominate. The Raiders are not good in the trenches, offensively and defensively, minus Max Crosby. I think they're going to be able to, run some schemes to get Max Crosby double team so he's not wreaking havoc in this spot. The Raiders just don't do enough. They can't run the ball efficiently. Gentry's kind of struggling to run behind a banged-up offensive line. Geno Smith is a turnover machine. I think he throws 2 picks in this spot. Steve Spagnuolo is going to come when he needs to, force turnovers, and then if you turn the ball over versus the Chiefs, it's going to be a long day. I wish it was under 10, and maybe I would have took the Chiefs and some points, but you know what? Maybe I am. I'm going to go with the Chiefs to cover this 11.5-point nut. Let's go 34-20. Chiefs get a big, big W. The Raiders finally got a win last week, but it was versus the Titans. And the Titans are a dumpster fire. Their head coach, Brian Callahan, got fired. It's a mess in Tennessee right now. And the Raiders aren't far behind that mess. Pete Carroll, they finally got a win versus the freaking Titans, but this isn't a good football team. It's just not. And the Chiefs at home are extremely difficult to win against. And I know traditionally the Raiders give the Chiefs a hard time, but I just don't see how that puzzle piece fits in this week. I'm rolling with the Chiefs 34-20 to cover the minus 11.5 points. Eagles, my Philadelphia Eagles at Minnesota. Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. The Eagles should not be favored in any game right now. They're terrible defensively. The offensive line is banged up. They can't run the ball. Jalen Hurts is only throwing the ball to Dallas Goedert. Brian Flores is an extremely aggressive defensive coordinator. They're going to bring the pressure, and Jalen Hurts has struggled a lot during his career with the blitz, right? So unless they run at the blitz and can find some success finally running the football, I like the Minnesota Vikings to win in this spot. Carson Wentz, revenge game, OMG. I'm going Vikings 27-17. Give me the Vikings and the points all day long. Vikings plus 2.5 versus this Eagles team. Maybe you buy 1.5, get it up to 4. And the Vikings in teasers. That's a lock, man. The Eagles secondary is a mess. Quinyon Mitchell has been hurt. Jalen Carter has been hurt. Ringo and Adoree Jackson are a joke. This defense is not good at all. Howie Roseman really shit the bed building back this defense after all these guys left. It's a bummer, but the Eagles are coming off a mini bye after that disaster loss to a terrible Giants team. Yikes. Minnesota Vikings beat my Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. Next up, the Carolina Panthers, only 1.5-point favorites versus a horrific New York Jets team. They're just clueless offensively. Garrett Wilson's losing his mind. Aaron Glenn, sometimes when you have a defensive-minded head coach, you need to have a savant calling the plays because that offense is horrifying. And, man, Rico Dowdle has been playing out of his mind. 200-plus yards from scrimmage. A $183 on 30 carries. 4 catches for 53. The dude's been playing out of his freaking mind, dude. And if they can keep that up, they're not only going to beat the Jets, they're going to dominate. And I expect the domination to come. The Carolina Dominators coming at you, beating the Jets at home 27-13. I like what's going on with Bryce Young and Ted McMillan. They're playing complementary football, being able to run the ball super effectively. Rico Dowdle, woo, man, back-to-back monster games, man. Is it time to fade him? Probably a little bit, but the Jets' defense has been not good all year long, right? So give me Carolina to win and cover the minus 1.5 points, man. they're playing really good football right now. Their team playing with confidence, and the Jets are playing with no confidence, no moxie, no identity. I like Carolina on the road to get it done here, guys. All right, I'm doing it. I'm calling an upset here, guys. People lost their minds when I did my early picks, but the Giants are getting 7 points. Give me the Giants and +7 all day. They beat the Jets, the Broncos did, by 2 freaking points last week. 2. In one of the worst overall offensive showings between two teams I've ever witnessed in my whole life in the NFL. It looked like my Charles Bame middle school football team where we lost every game 6-0. We played good defense. The other team scored once. We couldn't move the ball at all. I was trying to run the ball through brick walls all the time. Didn't go well for Jay all day, running behind that Charles Bame bum offensive line. That's for sure. That's for sure. Bo Nix is just looking pretty mediocre. Giants offense looked good last week versus the Eagles. Scadaboo and Jackson Dart playing with some moxie. I do want to see Jackson Dart rein it in a little bit, hitting guys in the face, man. Like, you're a quarterback, bro. Take a breath, go out of bounds. Stop taking these hits because the Broncos play really good defense. And if you keep running at these monsters like Nick Bonita, you're going to lose some teeth in the process and get hurt. And then Russell Bum Wilson's going to have to come back in. So I'm going with the Giants. The Giants get it done in a close one. 23-20 on the road in Denver. And Jay All Day calls an upset special. Here we go. All right, now we're going to move on to the next game on this slate. Indianapolis Colts at the LA Chargers. How the Chargers are favorites in this spot on DraftKings? I don't freaking know. The Chargers don't look great, even though Kamani Vidal looked great last week running behind that patchwork offensive line. 18 for 124 and with 7 yards per carry. Ladd added 7 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown, right? Chargers defense did force 3 turnovers, but Tua is an interception machine, right? I think the Colts are going to be a little more efficient with the football, for sure. And remember, A-Chain went wild on this Chargers team. So what is Jonathan Taylor going to do? And this Colts team can continue to run the ball over, Jonathan Taylor getting over 85 to 100 yards, use play action down the field to Tyler Warren, open things up for the deep shots with Daniel Jones. Yo, I'm taking the Colts. Another underdog here, guys. Give me the Colts and the points. I'm going Colts roll, 26-20. Big question marks in this spot. Will Joe Alt play? That's huge. Herbert needs him, even though he was pretty solid. I mean, they played the Dolphins. So, solid. 29 of 38, 264, 2 tutties. He should be pretty solid because that Dolphins secondary is trash. Stinky, stinky trash. But the Colts didn't play great versus Arizona. Arizona was in that game. They got to rein in the zone defense, man. They got to play a little closer to the line of scrimmage, make these catches a little more contested. Zay Jones ate them up in those 7 to 8 yard kind of in-cutting routes, just in front of the zone. Finding that little soft spot in between the linebackers and the safety and the outside corner, right? So, yeah, I love the Colts in this spot. I think they win outright. I don't know how they're dogs, in my opinion. 26-20. I like myself some Indianapolis Colts. All right, guys. Next up on this slate, we're going to roll with this New England Patriots game, guys. New England Patriots taking on the Tennessee Titans. Titans fire their head coach. Callahan, he's out. Coach Callahan, gone. Gone, gone, gone. New head coach coming in. I don't think it changes much. Cam Ward continues to not look good at all. I want to see New England clean up the penalties. They had 11 penalties, and they did struggle to run the ball versus the Saints. So little things they got to clean up, right? But Drake May continues to be extremely efficient with the football. 18 out of 26, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns. The dude looks good. Tennessee is a mess. They're playing good defense. Christian Gonzalez is really helping out this defense for the Patriots for sure, guys. It looks really, really good there for New England. The first place New England Patriots, guys. Clap it up for Vrabel and New England. Drake May looks great. Stephon Diggs just shows you the value of a number 1 outside receiver, right? It really does. The Bills can't move the ball because who the hell are they going to pass it to? Letting Diggs walk. even though him and Josh Allen were on the same page all the time, it is what it is. But the Saints continue to be in games. Spencer Rattler's playing okay. The defense is playing all right too. But they're just a meddling team. They're not going to get blown out a lot of weeks, but they're not going to win a lot of games either, right? The Saints. But New England on the road taking on the Titans. I think they win and cover. The line's at 7. I might take the Patriots 7 points. 27-10. Looks pretty juicy to me. I think the line should be more like 10. This Cam Ward-led offense is very inefficient. The defense isn't much better. Even though the D-line, not bad for the Titans, but that's kind of the only real thing we're like writing home about right here, guys. So, we'll see what happens, but I like the Patriots and Drake May to continue to roll against a really bad football team. If you're into the Survivor, I think the Patriots are in play, even though I don't particularly like taking road teams here, guys. But, yeah, I like New England. Who doesn't like New England in this spot? Faux show! All right, next up, we got the Green Bay Packers, who looked like shit last week. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. They did pretty much nothing offensively the first half of the game. They looked pretty pedestrian versus a crappy Bengals defense, right? Super crappy. Josh Jacobs had a really good game. I think he had like over 90 yards. The line's at 6.5 against Arizona, right? But Arizona, tons of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. No Trey Benson. James Conner's done for the year. Marvin Harrison Jr. got a concussion, so I doubt he plays in this spot. They have Trey McBride, Zay Jones, and that's about it. We'll have to see if Kyler Murray's going to play or not. I'm not sure. If he's going to play. He looked a little more efficient, in my opinion, with Jacoby Brissett there, right? He did a really good job, like finding openings in the Colts zone defense. He did a really good job. But I don't know, man. Oh, man. So I'm going with the Packers because the Cardinals, I think, are going to really struggle to move the football. But the Packers aren't very good. Man, I might flip this at some point during this week. Give me the Cardinals and plus 6.5 all day. Right now, I'm going to go Packers 21-17. I don't know if the Packers were kind of sluggish coming out of the bye or whatever, but Arizona can't run the ball at all right now. So I think they become pretty one-dimensional, and I think this pass rush gets home against Arizona. So that's why I like the Packers in this spot. 21-17. All right, next up, Washington at Dallas. The Commanders really let me down, losing to the Bears at home. Ooh. Not a good look. Dallas has got to score over 30 points to win every game right now because their defense is historically bad. We've got to keep our eye on whether or not Terry McLaurin's playing. They need to get him back. They miss him a lot, in my opinion, for sure. Pickens balled out last week. 9 catches, $168 and a touchdown. They couldn't run the ball at all last week, which was kind of surprising for Dallas against the Panthers front 7. Javonte Williams, 12 of 29, 2.2 yards per carry. And the Cowboys still have like the worst rush defense in the NFL. I expect the Commanders to run the ball, control the clock. But Dak is doing Dak things. 3 more touchdown passes last week versus the Panthers, even though they lost. The Dallas Cowboys defense gave up over 400 yards of total offense. Way over that. So I'm going to go with the Commanders 27-24. It's going to be a close kind of shootout game. Right now the Commanders are minus 2.5 point favorites. So I think they cover it, but barely. Yeah, I'm going to roll 27-24 for the Commanders. All right, moving on to the next game on this slate, guys. We got Atlanta Falcons. Huge win over Buffalo against the 49ers. Fred Warner done for the year. Huge injury. Bosa's done for the year. How DraftKings has the 49ers as favorites blows my mind right now. I think the Atlanta Falcons are playing with a lot of confidence, and this offense is going to destroy this 49ers defense without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. They're not going to be able to get after Michael Penix. They're going to have that offense really opened up. Atlanta is. I love Atlanta, and I got to put a bet in early. So if you're in the bets, Atlanta plus 2.5 early on. I love that. Bijan Robinson was an absolute beast. Drake London was a monster as well. I mean, they're doing everything really well right now. Michael Penix Jr. has been okay. He's got tons of weapons, right? So I want to see him work the middle of the field a little bit more as the season progresses. he kind of attempted some shots towards the middle of the field, but he's still really comfortable towards the numbers, outside the numbers. So I want to see that progress. But I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Is it going to be Purdy? Is it going to be Mac Jones? Is Kittle going to be back? I don't know if that even matters, right? I think this could be, 47 is the total I have with the score right now. The over might be in play here, guys. Atlanta has a really young defense, but I just don't think the 49ers have enough juice right now to stay with this high-powered Falcons offense. The Falcons are a weird team. You get blown out and shut out by the Panthers, and now you're beating the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what the hell is going on in Atlanta, right? So they're either, snoozing or balling out. I don't know what the heck's going on, but it's crazy. Give me the Falcons. 2.5 points, straight up, whatever. I love the Falcons to win. Another underdog that I'm taking this week, Falcons over the 49ers, 27-20. Now we move on to the 2 Monday Night Football games. Guys, let me know in the comments down below. Do you like the double headers on Monday Night Football? I kind of like it because I like the games to be spread out a little bit. It gives me an opportunity to watch more games instead of them all playing at a 1 o'clock slate. I kind of like it. Tampa Bay at Detroit. The Lions laid a stinker at Kansas City. Couldn't really get that offense going, and the defense was awful. Straight up awful. We'll have to keep an eye on the injury report on some of these guys in the secondary for the Lions, right? But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really banged up, and the Lions play really well at home. So I've been going back and forth on this spot. If Tampa Bay's without Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka, I'm rolling with the Lions. So right now, I'm going to stick with the Lions 30-24. Baker Mayfield, I think his luck finally runs out this week. Got to play in Detroit. It's a tough spot. The Lions are going to want to bounce back after kind of getting embarrassed by the Kansas City Chiefs there, right? And they're really shorthanded, right? Running backs are shorthanded. The freaking wide receivers are shorthanded. And Baker Mayfield's been just doing it and doing it and doing it. But, man, the freaking Lions secondary is trash with a capital T, man. So who knows what the hell's going on in this game. I got to figure out the injury report a little bit more before I make my final picks on Friday. But right now, I'm going to roll with the Lions. I don't think they lose back-to-back games, especially this one at home, 30-24, and they cover the 4.5 points. Houston at Seattle. Seahawks are -3. I think that line is pretty perfect right now, in my opinion. The Seahawks defense that was shorthanded last week versus the Jaguars really, really stepped up. They got in Trevor Lawrence's face, made him uncomfortable during that whole game. Sam Darnold was pretty good, 16 of 27, not super efficient, but big plays. 295 yards, 2 touchdown passes versus a Jags defense that's been great all year long, right? But the Houston Texans have a huge flaw, that offensive line, right? So their defense is really, really good. Who wins out? Can the Houston Texans defense slow down Sam Darnold, who's looked extremely efficient, especially throwing to Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was a monster last week. 8 catches, $162, 1 touchdown, But they were 1 for 12 on third down. You're not going to beat the Texans going 1 for 12 on third down. How you win a game going 1 for 12 on third down is crazy to me. And remember, the Texans are coming off a bye, guys, so they're going to be healthy. This is going to be a really close game. But right now, I'm going to roll with the Seahawks. I just think they're more efficient offensively and can, do what they did last week versus the Jaguars. Confuse C.J. Stroud, force a turnover here or there, play really efficient defense. I'm going to roll with Seattle to win this game 27-17. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the program. We just crossed 27,000 subscribers. Don't forget to check out the underdog link in the description down below. Gotta check that out, guys. All right, thank you so much for being a part of the community. You guys are the best. Peace.